Yes, that's right. The Survivor Know-It-Alls are back to talk about Australian Survivor Week 4, and here with a binder full of jokes, Stephen Fishbach.
No jokes. No jokes here, Rob.
What?
What a week. What a series of weeks, or whatever we're calling this, like, compacted
wow.
time frame Survivor.
I mean, will we ever get to see what's going on at Sannapu? It was a week of nothing but Vavau.
It was a week of nothing but Phoebe. What a week for Phoebe.
We renewed our Vavaus all week long with the saga of Phoebe and the downfall of Andrew.
Yeah. I mean, really, like 3 of the best episodes in a row for any Survivor player ever on an American-speaking Survivor or English-speaking Survivor. I thought like this run for Phoebe had to be like among the greatest runs of any player in the game.
Really nice run here. Yeah, if you are not watching Australian Survivor, but just listening to the podcast,
jealous if you're not
listening to the podcast, I think there's a small amount of people that might be doing that, just trying to save some time. Basically, we have a woman right now who's pretty much a heroes versus villains Parvati. Fair or unfair?
No, I don't think that is fair, actually, because I think Parvati had a lot of help in Heroes Villains from Russell, who was doing a ton of work, and a lot of help from the heroes. You see Phoebe, and she's like out there alone, and she is making moves that nobody else is making.
Yeah, well, she is running a very strong game. And then we have the downfall of this character, Andrew, who basically, Steven, it was almost like, remember that movie, The Mask, where Jim Carrey put that thing on and they turn into somebody else? We have this guy running all around Samoa, puts on a fedora, and all of a sudden becomes like the second coming of Russell Hantz out there.
Is that what was that what it was doing it, the fedora?
Yeah, I think so. I think he found Russell's fedora. Sandra did not burn it.
Yes. Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. An ancient fedora.
Yes. The ancient Hantzian artifact. He puts it on, and we got about 6,000 confessionals this week. I'm the one running the game. Everyone, I'm pulling all the strings. What? You can't vote me out. I'm the greatest of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
The game is flawed.
Is he Russell's Hantz?
I don't know what he is, but really, I mean, that really just laying it on a little thick, Andrew. I mean,
you know what? Like, I like a little bit of scenery chewing in my confessionals. I was into it. I liked Andrew's like over the top. I'm an evil mastermind confessionals. You know what? You're on freaking television. Go for it. Have some fun out there.
I like it too, Steven. I like it, but it was almost like no nuance to it. It was just like I'm calling all the shots.
Yeah. Do you think Andrew was saying one thing, or do you think maybe just one thing that he was saying was making it to air? Like in my mind, that's a failure of editing, and that was one of my frustrations with these episodes. I texted you. It's like we're getting like 30 confessionals, and they're the same freaking confessional for everyone.
Is it the same clip over and over and over again on loop with Andrew?
Exactly. And so like that was
vote me out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry. Was this delicious Bordeaux? No, my God, it's a fine wine.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. A wine break this early in the podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Stephen, we got a lot to talk about. Hashtag RHAP. We'll take your questions. We've got some email questions. SurvivorAU@RobHasAWebsite.com. One of our great Australian listeners, great friend of the podcast, Louise from Australia, is going to be joining us later on.
Very excited about Louise.
To talk about all this through, but yeah, I guess we should start probably with the downfall of Andrew, and Andrew finally being voted out here down to the final 7 in Vavau. Stephen, were you surprised that it was going to be Andrew, or was the edit just so on the nose that you thought it couldn't have been Andrew?
Well, in fact, I was surprised it wasn't Andrew the previous episode. I felt like actually when I watched episode 10, where you have this sort of like build up of Andrew, and then it's Kat who goes home. I thought that was a really fantastic misdirect, where Andrew was really being set up as the guy the arrogant guy who takes a fall, right? We had as you said, 16 confessionals of him talking about how wonderful he was. You see that, something is coming. And so when he didn't go home, I was shocked that the obvious person went home, right? Kat is the obvious boot. I was surprised by that. So then the next episode, I thought well, it's Andrew this week, right? They've laid the groundwork for 2 weeks now. It has to be him. So I was not surprised by that. Was it a good decision, though? That's the question, right? Not whether the edit made it clear, but like, was this the right call for Vavau?
Well, forget for Vavau. Was this the right call for Craig? That's really what it all came down to.
Right.
That, I mean, his people and Connor and Sue and Andrew,
Right.
they all, stuck together. So it's really for one guy, I guess, really for Craig and Kate. Was this
but
right?
Kate was never part of that core group, to begin with. So it really is about Craig.
The five, yeah. So if for Craig, was this the right call to get rid of Andrew?
I don't think so. Like, I think it was not the right call to get rid of Andrew. And, I've obviously, who knows how things will play, right? Like, we've seen, you see just a fraction of what actually happens, although with Survivor Australia, we see a much larger fraction of what actually happens. I've always stuck to the idea that loyalty is, incredibly important, and that as soon as an alliance starts turning on itself, there's no end to it. As soon as you break that core bond of we're in this together, us five, ride or die, as soon as that's gone, then there's nothing holding anyone with each other. So why would Connor ever stay with you now? There's not that sense of cohesion anymore. Sue too. I am always very, very skeptical about the move to turn on an alliance before you really, really have to. And I have a sense of it's too soon. It's day 20, whatever, 4. They're not even at the halfway point in this game yet. Obviously, they're worried about challenge strength. But you know what? You've got this great buffer. Lose Andrew after you've lost the two girls who are, not with you. What do you think here, Rob?
I don't know. For me, I think it was the wrong move to make. Sure, it was the better TV move to make, but if I'm just looking at this in a vacuum of what's going to happen after the merge, right, and I'm Craig, don't you feel like that Craig has moved up in the pecking order of targets following the merge, not a merge, Stephen?
Yeah. That's the other part of it. You're absolutely right. It's first of all, there's one obvious targeted Andrew who's now gone. Christy still got bonds with the old Aganoa people. Like, again, like, I got a lot of faith in Craig. I love me some Craig. To me, this seemed like a little bit too soon.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit too soon because who is he in with now? He's going to throw his lot in with Phoebe and Christy along the way, like they're going to have his back.
Right, exactly. Like, there's no build. I mean, when you're in a we talked about this in the previous weeks, right? They don't know how long this is going to be. In a U.S. Survivor, that after this kind of swap, you're with each other for 2 episodes, 2 votes, maybe 3 votes. These guys, they still have a month left in this game. Mm-hmm. Like, they could be with each other for another 3 weeks. So it's a really tricky decision. Like, do you make the decision for new tribe unity? Now to be fair, I made a similar decision like this, and I really, 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 really regretted it when I voted out Monica in Cambodia. And it was totally the wrong decision.
Okay, talk that through. Why do you feel like that was such a wrong decision?
Because we kept around these 2 people who weren't necessarily loyal to us and got rid of someone who was loyal. So the dynamics there were 6 people. 4 of them were on an original tribe together, and 2 strangers. At the time it was Spencer and Kelly Wigglesworth. And it was a questionable decision. One I was not totally on board with at the time, but my alliance and others really wanted to do it. It was the wrong move, and it ended up certainly biting me in the butt because, Spencer obviously was disastrous for me, and Kelly was disastrous for me. So, you don't have those people's long-term loyalty.
But Kelly was good for you. That was your biggest move.
Getting rid of Kelly. Yeah, right. Getting rid of Kelly was good for me. Yeah, great. And then I was gone the next week.
Yeah.
I think you gotta stick together. I think it's too soon. Andrew's liabilities, across the board are actually good for Craig, right? Like, the fact that he's such a big target, such an alienating force, the fact that he sucks in challenges, like, fine. That means when you get down to 5, you know who's next.
Who cares? Yeah. I feel like the best case scenario for Craig here was just to go with the intentional Matt Singh strategy and just keep him around and then get rid of him along the way. And I know that maybe that there's some fear of what are you going to do with if there's word that Phoebe has the idol, but
Right.
Yeah,
He
I
doesn't
don't
know
know.
that. I mean, yeah, you can't suspect that, like, this idol that he's been looking for hours and on end suddenly like found its way into Phoebe's pockets.
You know what really hurt him was Sue being so good at that challenge. Boy, Sue is she what a pistol.
Yeah, Sue's great. Yeah,
She really is.
What about I mean, the fact that Andrew a couple episodes ago was talking about getting rid of Craig, does that modify this decision at all?
He probably did a confessional about getting rid of every single person on the entire show, Steven. Yeah. I don't know. He's just like he's too all over the place. I don't know what he was such a diabolical super genius in his mind, and I don't know if he ever had that much power in the game.
Yeah, it always seemed like he was a little bit marginal, but again, we're seeing a very constructed narrative. Kudos to Phoebe, though, who not only doesn't play her idol in either of these last two episodes, but somehow votes with the majority every single time.
Yeah, no, she's really been fantastic.
Except episode 9, but yeah, she got Rowan to give the idol, right? The whole contentious story of Rowan's got the idol, he's not going to share it with me. She gets him to share it with her. Rowan's voted out, but then the next episode she finds an idol that no one else can find without a clue, and then votes with the majority for the cat vote, and votes again with the majority this vote. It's unbelievable.
Well, let's just talk about what went on there back at the Rowan vote, where we had that she did. I was very surprised Rowan gave her the idol.
I couldn't believe that either. Like, I was shocked by that.
But then we had sort of this really wacky voting situation where Rowan ends up being the person to go home after they play the idol if Phoebe plays the idol for herself. Do you have any thoughts on that? I was sort of trying to figure out, like, what is this, like a Tyson thing where did he vote himself out of the game? But really, it didn't quite play out like that. Had the women Christy and Kat ended up sticking with them, then they would have been able to take out one of the numbers from the other side. It was just a great moment where Phoebe's like, "You idiots, you idiots!"
Yeah. And then Kat was like, "Well, guess now we're all on the bottom together." Like, she was happy about it, like,
That was so funny though in the episode where Rowan went home, where they're asking her about, like, well, what would you do? She's like, "Well, I'd have to say he's one of the least favorite people I've met this year, and it's gonna be the best day of my life if we could just vote out Rowan tonight."
Yeah, this year. Do you meet a lot of people every year? I feel like I don't meet that many people.
A certain amount of people every year.
Yeah, I don't think I do.
You're actually the worst person I've met this year.
It is weird though how those animosities, they just never go away, and they end up dominating these strategic decisions so much. But here's my question for you, Rob. Once again, did they play that right? I thought that was crazy of Vavau to put Vavau to put all those votes on Phoebe, knowing that the idol was probably going to be played on either Rowan or Phoebe. I was like, why not just vote out what's her name?
Christy,
Christy, yeah.
It boggles the mind, Stephen. And that's the thing about this Australian Survivor, where you have some people that are playing at a very high level, but I think that overall as a group, I do think that there is a bit of groupthink that has sunk in, and I don't know necessarily if you could say that big blocks of people are playing particularly well.
Well,
voting blocks of people.
But to be fair, there's still like 17 people left, or 18 people. It's like the start of a normal season. Like, there's groupthink because they're also in huge groups. Like, at this point in a normal season of American Survivor, there's also groupthink, right? And there should be somewhat of groupthink, right? You should largely be playing. Basically, they're at the start of a season of Survivor at this point. They've been out there for 3 weeks, and now they're at like where we begin. So like they've got to play like a slow game to a certain degree. I thought it was a little bit careless, and it ended up working out okay for Vavau, but it really could have blown up for them, putting all their votes on Phoebe. I thought splitting the votes would have been a bad move too. I mean, vote for Christy.
Yeah, that would have been a way to really sort of reduce the amount of potential disasters that could have gone wrong. Instead,
it's like Danielle DiLorenzo in Here's Villains, right? You don't vote for the Russell or the whatever. Vote for the double D,
I'll always vote for the double D. So, Stephen, in terms of now this vote where Phoebe plays the idol, then she goes out and finds the idol without a clue.
Unbelievable.
Boy, How is she able to find the clue or find the idol without the clue? Craig had the clue. Basically, Nick gave him hints earlier on in the season to the idol, right? Is that the same Vavau beach that he's been on the whole time? What is wrong with Craig? Why can't he find this idol?
Listen, you're talking to the wrong guy about looking for idols. Like, sometimes you just don't see them. The other thing is, though, in Craig's defense, and I will always come to Craig's defense.
He's very funny, by the way, Craig.
Yeah. He's got this time constraint that Phoebe doesn't have, right? Like, Craig can only be out there for short periods of time without raising suspicion. All the suspicion is already on Phoebe. She can look, high, for 3 hours. No one's gonna, people aren't gonna be like, should we get Phoebe out? They already want Phoebe out. So, like, Craig has to be much more aware. He's operating from a very different position. He has to be much more aware of the people's perception of him during that time. It's a different thing. And I thought Craig did an amazing job, like organizing that like scavenger hunt that happened to like be looking for the idol. Mm-hmm. I thought that was like, that's really good strategy right there, right? It's like convincing people to do something, where your real plan is totally different than the thing that they think they're doing, but you've got them going along with it anyway. I thought that was great. It didn't work out for Craig. But in the words of Nick Cesternino, it's not always, you might have the right strat. You could still be a great strategist even if your strategy is not working.
Okay, fair enough. Steve, what happens next at Vavau? They're down to 6 here. Now you have Sue and Connor, who didn't end up voting with Andrew. They actually ended up in the wrong side of this vote. I guess, is the majority still the majority is the question that was asked. So what does the new Vavau look like post-Andrew if they go to tribal council again?
I mean, my hunch is that they'll still probably stay together here, but it really, I think violating that crucial bond is always a huge, huge mistake.
How? What is the vote? Who gets voted out?
Yeah, I probably still Christy, right?
So Craig is going to flip back and then potentially.
But I don't think it's flip back, right?
Christy won't do that. Phoebe won't do that, and unless Kate does that, you're potentially going to have a 3-3 tie at the next vote.
My guess was that at the very least, Sue and probably Sue and Connor knew what was happening, right? Like, certainly Sue's comments at tribal council made it seem like, I know it's happening. I'm not in favor of it. I'm sticking with my guy, and I'm voting out. I'm going to vote for Christy. She was probably aware of it, didn't like it. I don't think either of them is going to be that surprised that it was Andrew who was voted out.
Mm-hmm. So,
do you think that they were blindsided by that?
Boy, I don't understand why they would go along with it, other than they're throwing a pity vote to Andrew, and that seems like a very bad decision. I mean, Andrew didn't seem like he was the most warm and fuzzy guy that you want to sort of wrap your arms
around. Their crew, right? Like Connor said, "I'm with you. I'm with you." When he explained why he was sticking with. Why he had told Andrew about the votes, the previous tribal council was like, yeah, obviously I'm in your alliance. Connor is like a student of the game. He doesn't get that much airtime.
Then why is he going down with the ship, Stephen?
He knows that sometimes expressing loyalty is important, and maybe they thought at tribal council, Craig might think better. And Sue certainly is a loyal person. I think that they were just making a loyalty vote. Maybe Connor didn't know. But Sue, I'm sure knew and was making a loyal vote. Didn't want to write Andrew's name down. And next week, I don't think people are going to be that up. I don't think people will be upset. I don't think people are going to be shocked. I do think that very fragile bond of we're a group, we're together, that's broken, and that's something that's almost like more dangerous than making someone upset.
I love Sue so much.
Yeah.
I'd be very fine with a Sue winning Australian Survivor.
Yeah, I would be happy with that.
This is a good cast. We got some fun people on here.
Yeah.
Are
you? Yeah.
Am I what?
Who's your favorite?
I mean, it's hard to argue against Phoebe, certainly after the week that she had. I think she might get the fishy for the week now.
Oh my God, yeah. Major, yeah. I really think this has got to be one of the best 3 episodes that any contestant has had that I can think of. I can't think of anyone who's had this consistently. Like talk about let's go back to the previous episode where Kat is voted out. Phoebe's found her idol. She just had 5 votes against her. She has every reason to believe that she's going to be voted out next. She not only does she not get voted out, she hold on to her idol and has integrated herself so much into the majority that she knows to vote for Kat.
I mean, was episode 9 that great for her? Let me give you a counterpoint from our good friend Kelly Priest, who joined us on the podcast last week. She wrote in to say, what do you think of Phoebe as a player? I think that people might be giving her too much credit for conning Rowan out of the idol. She didn't seem to think he would go home. And I certainly don't think that the Parvati comparisons people are tweeting about that are warranted. Do you feel like that we have given her too much credit for getting the idol from Rowan? I mean, I didn't think she.
I think this is better than Parvati because
better than Parvati. Now you sound like Russell Hantz talking about Stephanie Valencia.
No, but I think this move is better than Parvati getting the idol.
Like 10 times better than Parvati.
Wait, which Parvati are you talking? Which Parvati move are you talking about?
I mean, I think that if how many moves are there?
Well, you mean the one where she gives the 2 idols at Tribal Council?
I mean, I don't think that this is necessarily a one-to-one comparison. I think that, you're talking about a attractive young woman playing idols and scrambling around. I think that there's sort of like a broad picture of a player as opposed to a specific one-to-one move.
So look, I certainly think that Parvati is giving the 2 idols at Tribal Council is probably the best single move like in the history of the show. Maybe the best single move in the history of the show. But apart from
no one would argue with that.
Apart from that, convincing. So Rowan thinks he's a target too, right? He has every reason to think he's a target. He's on the outs in a new tribe. He's been forced to admit he has the idol. He kind of stumbles through some explanation of, but I'm not playing it. He knows he's a potential target. That guy is someone who is going to have a lot of reason to hold on to his idol. Phoebe's ability to convince him to give it to her when his life was on the chopping block. Because, that's the hard thing. It's not like, first of all, it's hard to get an idol out of someone's hands. But, when they very well could be the person who's voted out instead, and in fact, he was the person who was voted out instead, that's incredible.
Yeah. Stephen, let's talk about Rowan while we're here.
We gotta, you don't think, is this a good move or not? Why are you Team Kelly Priest or Team Fishbach?
I mean, it was a good move that she got the idol, but I think that it's one thing to get the idol, but then her plan did not work at Tribal Council. So I feel like that it sort of mitigates how big of a episode she's having there. It's sort of like it was a half Murphy to me. A half Parvati.
No, because she saves herself for another. Yeah, she wasn't able to control every single person's vote in the entire game, but she was able to save herself against what I don't get where the
so to make your comparison. So this would be basically if she gets Russell to play the idol on her, and then Danielle goes home in the episode.
Yeah, but no, because Parvati and Danielle were very close. It's like she's not.
She wasn't close to Rowan.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's a good comparison. Okay. So, what is the thing that Parvati did other than that big move that's better than this?
I feel like that this might be better than Parvati getting Russell to play the idol on her, because from what I understand, I don't think she had a lot of say in that. That was just sort of like Russell's like, I don't know if I got another 39 days in me. Let me just go ahead and see what happens here. Right. Let me roll the dice. So that I don't know if there's a one-to-one here. I'm sure there's some, I wasn't prepared to come on here and make this comparison. So let's not try to find the American comparison for it. But she's had a very strong week.
Yeah. I agree. It doesn't need to be like who is better than whom.
I don't deal in hyperbole, Stephen.
Well, I exclusively deal in hyperbole, so this is where we're at an impasse here. Yeah. No, look, I agree that you don't have to make a comparison like one is better than the other, but this is great, and I think minimizing it is not, that's not cool. She's playing awesome.
Nobody says that she's not playing.
You and Kelly Priest are freaking negging Phoebe.
I'm not negging Phoebe. I said that Phoebe was great. I said that she deserves the fishy. I argue with that she had the best 3-episode run in any player has ever had in the history of Survivor.
Okay, I'm just saying maybe.
Okay,
I'm putting it out into the universe. It's like a Trumpism, maybe this is happening.
Yeah, some people are saying that Phoebe is having the best 3 episodes. I'm not saying it. Other people are saying it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So this is from Fen, who writes in. Now, Stephen, we don't always get to see what the Australian commercials are like, but according to Fen, he says that Rowan's move was called the biggest blunder of all time in the ads surrounding this episode. I disagree. Also, Nat writes into us to say that the Survivor Australia commercials are giving too much stuff away. They're talking about how somebody's going to make a huge mistake. I mean, is Rowan's move in the conversation for you're the hyperbole master biggest mistake in Survivor history?
No. I thought Rowan's move was a sensible move. I don't know.
It's not in the top 25 biggest mistakes in Survivor history.
I don't know. I mean, he had the idol. He was a very possible target. He had every reason to think, though, that the tribe would be idiotic for voting him out, which it has proven to be that was a stupid move to vote out like your biggest challenge guy, right? To a certain degree in Survivor, you have to expect the people around you to act rationally and to make the decision that's going to be best for them. And so to think that Phoebe is the one that's going to be voted out. Now, Rowan didn't consider the possibility of a split vote or another faction that would vote for him. It was definitely a mistake, right? You can't argue that. It's not the big. I don't think it's like the biggest blunder in history. I think
if anything, his dumb move was when he voted for Kat and then forced it to not at least be a 2-2 tie.
Yeah, that was the dumb part of it.
That was the dumbest part of it all. I mean, on the revote, he probably still ends up going out. Well, I mean, what do you think, actually?
He definitely goes out in the revote.
Yeah, he goes out because it was Sue. It was Sue that would have been the revote with. So, yeah, he definitely goes out in that scenario. All right, Stephen, we haven't talked at all about what's going on at Sannapu. Do you want to talk through Chicken Gate Dam?
Yeah, I love Nick's quote. As always, another great Nick quote. I've got it pulled up here. I view Matt as a threat because he was able to sway the majority to do a really, really, really dumb thing, and that is very scary. I thought that was really funny. Like, the chicken gate is like a metaphor for Survivor strategy.
Yeah, it's an interesting point that Nick is making about how dangerous Matt is that he got everybody to do something. Now, according to Nick's thesis, it's that Matt doesn't care about the chickens. He's no Tai Trang. He is not out there to protect the will of the chickens and get $50,000 from Sia down the road. No, he's doing it as a mind game. He's doing something that he knows is not in the best interest of everybody, and he's getting everybody to agree with it. Do you agree with Nick's thesis, Stephen?
Oh, I didn't necessarily think that Nick was saying that that's why Matt was doing it. I thought he was saying Matt was doing it like to seem like a nice guy, or if anything, to like seem like Ty, and maybe get some of that sweet Sia loot.
No, interesting.
But the danger was that he was able to.
At what point did they film this season? Did they leave to go film this season following the finale of Co Wrong? Is it possible that could have been in the ether of, hey, it's not cool to kill chickens on Survivor anymore?
I thought I saw Matt tweet that like they filmed simultaneously, but I could be wrong about that. We need to get an
filming dates May 2016 to July 2016, but May 2016 doesn't help us. That's it says from Wikipedia.
It does. Oh, 2016.
It's the same month, but we need to know the days. We need to know what day.
No, it must be 2015, right? Not 2016. Oh, 20. Yeah, because Co Wrong filmed in the previous.
Yeah,
year.
But the finale aired in 2016.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the finale filmed in May of 2016.
Oh, so but no matter what, he's seen Ty, right? Like he would have seen Ty, like
seen Mark the Chicken in action, and not necessarily has he seen the finale.
Right. So maybe part of him is motivated. Nick's thing was saying Matt was motivated by an idea, like the ideal to seem like a nice guy, but what was dangerous was his ability to sway these people who couldn't care less to his side.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
But is it possible Matt is a nice guy? That is like Nick seemed to feel like, hey, Matt is obviously he is not a nice guy, or is not actually caring about the chicken. He just wants everybody to do this because he wants to seem like the nice guy. Yeah,
I think it's possible. I mean, I think there's a pretty big difference between a live chicken in front of you and 32 pounds of chicken McNuggets in your freezer, right?
Like for instance, nobody accused Ty, and maybe you can accuse Ty of being a ham, but nobody accused Ty of, boy, Ty is being so manipulative that he's not letting anybody eat Mark the chicken, that he's just trying to do it so Sia will give him money at the finale. Nobody accused Ty of that during the season.
Right. No, I think it's possible that Matt is just a nice guy who doesn't he's bonded with his chicken and doesn't want to eat them. I mean, to be fair, you get very little protein off of one of these, Survivor chickens. It's not that good a meal. It's something out there. It's something when you have nothing, but it's not really. It's not going to have any impact on the game in any way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, Nick was besides himself during that, and Nick is so much fun on the show.
Yeah. The only problem with Sannapu winning is we get less Nick.
We got almost nothing this week.
But Nick celebrating at rewards. I want at the end of the season, I want a master reel of Nick celebrating when he hears about rewards and when he wins challenges and when he's at rewards. That's my favorite part of Survivor Australia is Nick celebrating. He just loses his mind.
Yeah, he's very excited. True or false? The greatest thing that ever happened to Nick was getting voted out of Vavau.
Yeah, it sure seems that way. It really worked out well for him.
I mean, he'd still be there. He wouldn't have gotten picked in the draft, right?
Yeah.
And he'd be going down with the sinking ship. Stephen, now that we've seen Vavau lose 3 consecutive immunity challenges and now vote out 3 consecutive members, is it fair to say that the big twist that came at the first merge of the season, was that too powerful of a twist?
Because they voted out their strongest challenge guy first. Maybe they would be competitive. It looked like they would have been competitive in some of these challenges if they'd gotten rid of a weak challenge competitor instead of their strongest challenge competitor. So, it's a very powerful twist that obviously gave Sannapu a big advantage, but Vavau really, really maximized Sannapu's advantage by voting out Rowan. Now, that wasn't necessarily Vavau's intention. And
nope.
You can also say, well, who cares? Strength and challenges isn't that important, right? They made a decision to get rid of an old Aganoa. They got rid of Rowan instead of Phoebe. So what? But that's the trade-off you're making when you vote out someone like Rowan, and when you put votes on someone like Rowan, even if they're not they're your intended target. You're making the decision. Well, if this happens, then we are sacrificing challenge strength to get rid of someone who we perceive as a game threat. And we're going to, when you make a sacrifice like that, you have to accept the consequences. So they chose to get rid of their only real, other than Craig, I guess. Craig's a beast, right? Mm-hmm. Real strong physical competitor. And Sue, I know.
Connor is a beast.
Yeah, Connor performs well, but he's often, right? But they got rid of, probably their strongest guy. And so I can't say you can't blame the twist for Vavau's decision making.
Yeah, fair point. So the twist not too powerful, but they really just bungled this following the swap, and the challenges have been close as well. So we'll see.
Also the other thing was in that coconut challenge. I was surprised that both tribes you want to load up the bigger guy, but you also want to put weight on the woman because. It's an endurance challenge. If you toss a ton of coconuts in a bag of the guy and he immediately drops, and then you have to start fresh with the woman, the point is to make both of them hold the bags for a longer period of time. So if you put just them, so you could win more quickly with both by putting a significant chunk in the woman's bag as well. I thought Vavau could have won if they just had a better strategy.
It's interesting that Miles Nye and I talked through this challenge and what the correct strategy was when we did our Hacking the Challenges off-season podcast a couple of weeks ago. It's actually funny. We actually talked about both the challenges that appeared in episode
I'm curious
number 11.
What the challenge for the rate for running around is.
Yeah. Well, what we had said was that early on in the challenge, just put your weight on your strongest person and let them sprint and
just
go for it.
Yeah.
That's not ultimately what happened. We ended up seeing much more of a war of attrition going on here. But I had said that I did think it was better to just sort of overload one person. I believe it is Sun Tzu, Stephen, that says that you want to apply all of your forces in one area, maximum pressure.
Yeah, but. Yeah, I don't know if that necessarily applies to this. Oh, you mean for the coconuts?
I think that that Sannapu, I think they played this perfectly correctly, and thus were the victors.
Oh, well, they were the victors, but that doesn't mean they played it correctly. My God, you're so results oriented.
I'm not. I've said this. I said that's how you played this challenge, then that's how they did that challenge.
Yeah, I think. Vavau, I stand by the fact that Vavau could have won if they had divided up because if you put 10 coconuts in Sam's on the margin, and Sam's gonna you make Sam drop 20 seconds faster, but instead you don't have Flick holding those 10 coconuts for more time, you're costing yourself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see the next time we see it on Survivor. We'll add more data points.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's bring in our guest this week to talk to us about what's going on in Australia and the reaction to everything among the Australian Survivor fans is our good friend, longtime listener to the podcast, Louise Johnson. Louise, we need you.
Welcome, Louise.
Hey, this is such a treat.
I'm very excited to have you, Louise. I have a big debt of gratitude to you. I know you had a big impact in campaigning for me to get on Second Chances. So now is my revenge.
Your revenge?
Yeah.
Yes. Why? Because you were unhappy with how it turned out, and now you're pissed.
Yeah, exactly. So I blame Louise.
Okay, Louise, can you settle the debate on a couple of these topics that we're talking about? Is Phoebe the greatest Australian Survivor player to ever live?
I'm actually a big Nick fan, like a huge Nick fan. But yeah, Phoebes is really bringing it. It's amazing what she apparently he just gave her the idol because she asked for it just as a friend, which is a real sort of Australian thing to do.
That's interesting.
Give me the idol. You're a friend.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was like, we didn't see on the screen what happened, so I was confused how she got it. But in some exit press that he did on a TV show, he's like, yeah, she was my friend and she asked for it, so I just gave it to her. So
wow, I'm moving to Australia.
Yeah.
Wow.
Idols for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, mateship, indeed. What about Rowan and this idea of making one of the worst moves of all time as depicted in the promos? Are the Australians being too hard on Rowan?
Well, it wasn't a great move, was it? Like
great
you know,
Didn't work out that well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like if we're going results orientated, it was kind of a, it's a blunder. It wasn't great.
Yeah. Let me give a little pro tip also, Louise. I have been liking the Australian Survivor Facebook page on, was it Network 10?
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yes. Had to unfollow. Got spoiled on an episode, Stephen. I was just scrolling along on my Facebook feed. Autoplay video.
I have to avoid spoilers so hard.
Autoplay video of Kat talking about, here's Kat from after getting voted off. Here's her talking about it. And it was like a couple hours after the episode.
Yeah. You know what, though? Like, I'm all about stay off social media if you don't want to be spoiled about a TV show. So, it's on you.
What? You're not even on my side on this?
I'm against you.
You're against me. Yeah. Louise, is that right? We wouldn't even do that for American Survivor.
No, I'm actually being very respectful of my American followers, and I'm live tweeting, but I'm being spoiler-free in my tweets. But the Australian promos are just as bad as the American ones. Like if you watched the promos for this week, there was no way that you didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, really? What do they say?
In the episode, there was a big blunder. Like they talked about the big blunder for Rowan, and then the preview was like all Andrew. Like there was, if you're reading it just a little bit, like if you're slightly non-casual, it's pretty easy to track what's going to come.
Well, so give me a counterpoint to last week. Kelly Priest was talking about how there isn't that much a fan community in Australia, so it is somewhat new to most people. Is that represent? Is that true?
On the street, and they're like, "Oh my God, you met Rob and Stephen! Like, wow, amazing! The buzz is huge,
huge buzz.
The Steve buzz, that's right.
Yeah.
But so our viewership of American Survivor sits around about sort of 170. It's on 170,000. It's on a different channel than the one that's giving us Australian Survivor. So there's there's a strong core relative.
Yeah. Louise, could you speak to us a little bit about Andrew and the game that he played this week? Do you feel like the Australian viewers are more receptive to the villains, or do you think that Andrew will be hated after this for being so boastful about his game?
Yeah, look, the buzz on the Australian fan community pages is not strong for Andrew.
I thought he was winning all these popularity.
Yes,
polls.
He was up to 37% last week.
But you know what they do? Like, as soon as you get cut from the game, they take you out of that leaderboard. So they just remove you from the poll. So he was winning last night, and then as soon as he got evicted, he's back to 0 votes. He doesn't exist in the poll.
So you think Dez would have won overall if not for his early elimination?
I know. Can you imagine if they did that and like Wanda wasn't eligible for fan favorite?
Yeah.
Stephen, just to add some more fuel to the maybe the chicanery going on with the Australian Survivor exit polling, is it possible that big poll numbers might translate to potential thought or consideration for an all-star appearance for a player that did not make the second merge?
Isn't it a little soon to be talking about the All-Stars when there's like literally one season? I know it's like technically the third season, but and I think you have to have more than one season to have an All-Star season. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's get into some of these questions here from our listeners around our global audience of Australian Survivor Know-It-Alls. Don Eisenbarth says, how long do you think this is going to go on? At some point, doesn't it seeing lose one tribe over and over again get tiring to the producers and viewers and survivors? Stephen, do you think that this could be an Oolong Karor situation here in Australian Survivor?
I think, like Jeff has a great, talking point when he gets asked this question of like, do you worry about this result or this result? That like, you just let it play out, and it's always going to be good drama and like interesting things are going to happen. I bet they're not stressed about it. Like Oolong Karor is an iconic Survivor, happening. Like if that happens here with Sannapu, Vavau, like that's interesting.
Louise, are you cool with more Vavau losing?
Well, no, because like you said, it means less Nick. Like I'm all about Nick, and Wow. I think that they've got to mix it up again. Like to get down to, like it was so twisty last week, and then we've had no sort of twist this week. I think they've got to do another mix-up before they get to the merge.
Yeah, there's got to be you mean another merge before the merge?
A swap before the second merge.
Yeah.
Stephen, 3 episodes in a row, 3 episodes where people got voted out. Can you believe it?
I can't believe it. I literally cannot believe it. But it's been lovely. It's been nice. If they, you know what? Here's my now they're taking my recommendations. Cut out tree mail. I don't need to see people reading tree mail. I don't need to see people arguing over who's going to read tree mail. I don't need to see people walking to go get tree mail. That's my next suggestion.
Can I tell you my pet peeve? I don't need to see people enjoying rewards. I get it. I get it. Chocolate is good.
Come on.
Chairs are comfortable. Chickens lay eggs. I got it. I know what rewards do.
Let me give you my other pet peeve, Rob. In the intros, cut out the people who are eliminated from the show.
Once
you're
off
the show, that's a hot take. That's 5 seconds of my life that I'm never gonna have back, and they're not even on anymore.
Okay.
All right, Jennifer wants to know, why do you think Phoebe put her vote on Kat instead of Andrew? What do you guys think? This is episode 10.
All right. Why did Phoebe put her vote on Kat instead of Andrew? Doesn't she want to fit in?
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't have made the difference. So I think that she made the correct play.
Yeah.
10 play. That's what you use. That's the app, Stephen.
Well, it was the episode 10, and that was her play.
10 play. Yeah. Okay, let's go to Tomas, who says, how unfair does the twist seem now where one tribe wins one challenge and can actually pick other players, practically ensuring their undefeatability? I think Stephen had it right. I don't think that it was that unfair. I think that they sort of botched it with the Rowan vote. Louise, is Australia Survivor making an unfair twist?
No, that's totally fair. And it's, They made poor decisions before they got that far. It's totes fair. Who said Survivor has to be fair?
That's right. That's the key issue. It doesn't have to be fair.
Doesn't have to be. All right, Steve, what about Brian?
Brian Jaw says, should Flick, Brooke, Matt, Sam, Nick think about throwing some challenges so Jenna, Louise, Lee, and Elle don't all make the merge to flip? That's an interesting idea. Right? What should the people on Sannapu? Yeah, I guess that's a good call. But there's still some Aganoans over there. Should the majority Sannapu alliance think about throwing a challenge to get rid of some of the Aganoans?
I love it. I think it's a great idea.
Really, Louise?
Yeah, I mean, you've seen what happens when you get the unfinished business that they need to resolve, and I think if you don't weed some of them out beforehand, that's when you get the the situations like we had in Survivor Philippines. I think, getting rid of some of them beforehand is a good plan.
But it'll never happen, right?
That being said, I don't think they need to get rid of some of the Aganoans. I mean, I don't think they need to get rid of Lee or Elle. I think that maybe you want to but maybe have the Aganoans risen in the threat level over the Vavauans?
I don't see how Jenna Louise is a threat to anybody, except maybe Nick, just out of animosity.
Get back with Craig.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess she's probably the one you'd get rid of, right? The Vavau alliance is still pretty big over on Vavau.
Yeah, and I guess she does seem like she just seems pretty capable. That she's seems like she's putting something together with between Elle and who else is that
Lee and Sam. Sam has got the bromance with Lee. Do you think Rowan is just steaming when he watches that? Like Sam and Lee just broing out together?
Probably pissed. Yeah, probably pissed. Okay, let's do a couple more questions. George Wise says, we've seen the 2 idol merge play so far this pre-merge. Consider Heroes versus Villains is the only U.S. season with pre-merge idol play. Is this a function of the longer pre-merge? I mean, I think that's pretty logical, right, Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, this pre-merge has been going on for 3 weeks. Like at this point, really, like this point, this is like you've certainly merged on Survivor, right? I don't think there's any merges that happened after day 21, and you're probably a solid couple of days into the merge. So the fact I feel so bad. 55 days, or is that what it is? 55?
I believe so.
That's insane. Like that's crazy.
Louise, are you proud of 55 days? You wear that badge of honor. Our Australia Survivor is longer than yours.
Yeah, totally. 55 days. Yeah. Well, make it 65.
65.
Yeah. What do I just say?
55, 55,
year
65,
of Survivor.
65, here, 65, 65, 65.
Yeah. I'm saying a year.
Yeah. Year. 365.
365. Yeah.
Matt wants to know, the idol usually goes back into play after use, not in Australia. Yeah, what gives, Louise?
Yeah, Louise. What the heck?
I'm not in production. Like, I'm not making the decisions yet.
I don't think that's actually true. I think it really varies season to season what happens with the idol after it's played.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that we saw back in Korong. I don't think that after the after Scott went home with the idol, right? We didn't see that idol come back.
Well, often when people go home with it, it doesn't. But I think there's probably examples of when it's played where it doesn't come back. So I think it's really
It's interesting. I never thought about that. So if somebody goes home with the idol in their pocket, they don't put another idol into the game?
Sometimes they do. I'm sure someone out there has the information of what every specific instance, but I'm pretty sure it's inconsistent.
Right. Ozzy went home with an idol, right, in Micronesia, correct?
Right.
And then was there and I know Amanda finds an idol after that, but was that a different idol than?
Yeah, I don't know. And then Brendan went home with one in Token Chains. They didn't put a new idol in the game. So
Who knows? Okay.
Someone out there knows.
Somebody out there knows. Louise, is it you?
Not us.
Yeah. All right, let's do 1 or 2 more questions here.
She's our Australia correspondent, not our idol correspondent. We're gonna need to get an idol correspondent.
Australian idol. Yeah. What Christian has a question.
Christian Esparza wants to know: is Sue low-key the greatest Survivor player ever? Because she hasn't really been targeted, even with her age and challenge liability.
Stephen, if Sue makes the second merge, when is she getting voted out? Never.
She's going all the way to the end. I think it's possible.
Yeah. Louise, do you love Sue?
I do love Sue, and she was really featured heavily in the promo. This big active strength from the grandma. I think what they're doing with her is they're giving her sort of it's an Australian sort of term, like a battler's kind of edit.
What?
Battler's?
It's like a battler.
Oh, a battler. I thought you were talking about Liz Markham.
Oh.
Oh, no. So I think she's getting that edit. Like, she's being viewed really positively. Like, she's in the promos and stuff for the next episode. So, yeah. We like a bit of Sue. Susie Q.
Yeah.
Louise, who you got? Sumo at sea, me or Sue? Tough one.
Sumo at sea. I got to take Rob.
Oh, God, I'm taking Sue in a heartbeat.
Take Sue.
Yeah.
Sumo.
Sumo.
Let's see. Okay. All right. Stephen H wants to know, do you think that telling Kat and Christy that she had another idol was a bad move by Phoebe, considering that she then voted Kat out? Well, impossible, because Phoebe doesn't make bad moves, Stephen.
Well, when she first made the play, when she first went up to them, I was like, this is brilliant. She's using the idol to build an alliance. She has really very little trust with Kat and Christy, and she is using her idol to kind of reestablish trust, because something we talk about a lot. There's very few opportunities to very concretely show or prove trust on Survivor. One of them is at Tribal Council. Another is sharing information, like idol information. Then when she went and didn't go with that plan, I was kind of surprised, because you've just told them you've built trust, and now are you squandering trust? So in retrospect, maybe it is a bad move, because now Christy knows about your idol, and she might feel burned by you. Well, what did you think?
It didn't really bum me out too much. I thought that she everything was fine. I mean, what was the major downside? They voted with her on the next vote.
Well, right. So Christy did vote.
What was the problem?
Yeah. I mean, the problem is again, it's not about what happened. It's about what could have happened.
Is it?
Yes, it's not about results. It's like, what's the best move in the situation with the information you have? You can anything, going backwards, you can decide, well that worked.
It's like, well, Stephen, why did you go to work today? You could have got hit by a car. Like, well, I didn't. I was careful. I didn't. I looked both ways, but you could have. You could have got hit by a car. That's being results oriented. Why'd you go anywhere? You could get hit by lightning.
Yeah, but if I make a decision to walk into the street when in a freeway and I miraculously don't get hit by a car, Rob is like, oh, well, so walking into a freeway is okay, but I'm like, no, the decision I made was a bad one.
All right, Stephen. All right. What else is there? What's going to be the thing that somebody on Reddit is going to post? I can't believe they didn't talk about this. And then Stephen says, oh, I would have talked about this. Yeah, I meant to talk about this. If it wasn't for Rob having a podcast about Big Brother, I would have brought this up.
Here's what it was. When the rainstorm hit Sannapu, and Matt's jean shorts got so soaked.
Jorts.
I think we need to talk about why anyone in the world is wearing jean shorts.
Yes. Okay. Well, cargo shorts are out. Jean shorts are out too, Stephen?
I don't know. I guess I actually do see people wearing jean shorts these days.
Cargo shorts are not out on Survivor. I'll tell you that right now. You'd be a fool not to take cargo shorts to Survivor.
Are you wearing anything denim into a jungle environment is a terrible, terrible idea, because that stuff gets soaked and it does not. But here's my question for both of you guys: how much clothes do they have? They seem to always have these multiple outfits. No,
Louise.
Yeah, full outfit, complete change of clothes.
Right? Am I wrong about that? No.
No, you're right. Definitely. Good take. Yeah. They got 2 sets of clothes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that common in Australia? People have lots of outfits?
You should see my wardrobe.
I've seen it. I believe it. All right. Yeah. All right. Stephen, so anything else besides the jorts?
What about Lee's performance in the mud scraping challenge?
No, we don't care about that.
Okay. Jenna Louise, is she in trouble, or is she making her way back into Vavau?
I thought she's bouncing back. I feel good. I don't think that she goes out like that. I think that either Vavau will continue to lose. I think that she's going to hang in there, or it seems like she's got something going on. I think there could be a little bit of a coup d'etat happening with Jenna Louise. You buying that, Louise?
Yeah, she's a really small target, really, in the big scheme of things, and I think something of double merge. She's a small target, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
And last one. What was Rowan's correct play when they asked him about the idol? He kind of blurts out, "Oh yeah, I've got it." Is that? And then he's like, "Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Why did I say that?" I actually didn't think that was that terrible, because they kind of know he has it already. They ask him if he has it. If he lies, what's the right move there?
I think the move is, if you've got the idol and they know you've got the idol, play it on yourself.
That's the right move.
Give it away. When everybody knows you have the idol and they ask you to have the idol and you say you have the idol, then Well, then actually, is that
actually is the time to give it away? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably a good move.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
All right. So look, Rowan's smart. What do we know? All right. So what's the hashtag, Louise?
It's terrible, isn't it? Getting asked that question.
2 seconds. How much pressure?
I know it's my worst. It's the worst part of every podcast for me.
Too soon. Too soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone is hashtagging jorts on. I think that's
jorts.
Okay. Yeah. I think.
All
that's
right. I would love to make it something about Andrew and his Russell Hantz fedora.
Oh, that's a good. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. What?
All right, we'll workshop that. All right. So
what about just Russell's fedora? Is that too much? Okay. Too on the nose? Too on the nose?
Probably too on the nose. But what are you gonna do? All right, Louise, thank you so much for coming on with us. Always appreciate it.
Oh no, thank you for having me. This was a bloody amazing treat. Very excited.
Okay, well, Louise, great to see you. Hope to see you at another Know It Alls sometime in the next 5 years.
Well, that's right. You're going to do the finale of Australia in Melbourne, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. All right. And the finale of the Seinfeld podcast also in Australia. If you want to follow Louise on Twitter, she's at LuluJam. If you want to email the podcast, you can email us survivorau@robhasawebsite.com. You can subscribe to our Australian Survivor feed. Go to robhasawebsite.com/survivorau. Lots of stuff going on robhasawebsite.com. Of course, Corinne and her binder were through the studio the other day. Louise, did you listen to Corinne yet?
No, it's school holidays. So
too early. Okay, too early. All right. Well, let us know what you think, Louise. I know Stephen has got it all queued up and ready to go right after this podcast is over tonight. Of course, Big Brother coverage kicks off tonight on the podcast, 9:15 p.m. Eastern time, and then again 9:15 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday as we get ready 1 week from tomorrow night when the Millennials and the Gen Xers kick off. Stephen Fishbach with Josh Wigler for Know It Alls #1. How about that?
Finally.
We haven't had that pairing on a Know It Alls yet.
Yeah.
Did we?
Did
we?
I don't remember.
So. I don't think so. Probably not. All right. Anyway, good stuff. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much, Scott St. Pierre behind the scenes. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.